Welcome to another edition of the Hoop Scoop, brought to you by Red Raider Outfitter, the fans' favorite since 1975. I'm Jarrett Johnson, and Texas Tech fell 67-61 at number 18 TCU on Saturday. It was the Big 12 opener for both teams, and man, really, the Red Raiders, they blew a tremendous opportunity to pick up easily its best win in terms of its resume on the season. They were up by as many as 13, led by 11 at halftime, but were outscored by 17 points in the second half. Let me start with the good. First off, Texas Tech, great first half of basketball. They did a really good job of penetrating and getting open looks. TCU looked like they weren't it was a very small crowd. Matter of fact, it didn't feel like a home crowd because it wasn't packed like Texas Tech does at the USA, but you could hear Texas Tech fans louder than TCU fans in most cases, especially in that first half, because again, it was such a great half of basketball for Texas Tech. But in the second half, TCU took over. They basically erased most of the lead. I think they cut it down to 1 within the first 2.5 minutes. And then Tech would get up by around as much as 8 before TCU took over late in the game. Mike Miles, one of the best players in the Big 12, made several buckets to help seal the victory for TCU. But really, it was self-inflicted wounds that hurt Texas Tech. 22 turnovers, which is way too much. Turnovers, since the first game of the season, we said, whoa, watch out. This could be a recurring theme, and it is. Now, they've done better against some lesser competition, of course, with the turnovers, but they struggled against TCU in that department. Also, free throws, just 50%, I believe 9 for 18 from the stripe. That's not going to get it done on the road in the Big 12 against anybody. And then, the rebounding and defensive rotations in the second half, they just didn't control the boards like, Tech needs to if they're going to win. And they're a little slow in some rotations. Both Daniel Bacho, who has been battling some kind of illness, he was sick. The telecast reported, ESPN telecast reported during the game. And then Kevin O'Banner got into early foul trouble and just never really got into the game. I think he had 6 points and 4 rebounds and 5 turnovers. So not a good game from O'Banner. Pop Isaacs was good. I think he led the team with 17 points. Hit some big threes, especially late in the game when it looked like Tech couldn't score. They couldn't get in their offense. They kept turning the ball over, but he would hit a 3 to keep him in it. But just not enough. Davion Harmon, he made a couple of big shots, but he also missed some layups. Tech missed a lot of easy layups, which cost him. So, on one hand, you could see the potential for this team that they could play better. Like Jalen Tyson, 7 points in the first half, looked really good, and then for the most part disappeared in the second half. So it's like the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's potential. But will they realize it in time to make the tournament? We'll have to see. Road win against a top 20 opponent, went down swinging. You hate to see them lose the way they did, again, with those self-inflicted wounds. But you got to give TCU, that is, credit, because they forced some of those turnovers and they capitalized. They got on the break, they scored, and then Miles took over. And he was the best player on the court on Saturday. So, that was the story of the game. Up next, doesn't get any easier. You have Kansas, but it is at home at the USA. That's Tuesday night, I believe, at 8 o'clock. So, chance to bounce back. You win that game, you feel a lot better about your chances in the Big 12 and just about your team overall. But tough couple of games. Well, let's face it, the rest of the season, other than LSU, compared to the rest of the Big 12, it's going to be tough. And I know some people have said the Big 12 might be down this year, and that might be right, but it's still tough, especially for this young Red Raider team on the road in the Big 12. So we'll have to see. This was the first real test we've seen since Maui, and again, there's potential, but man, a lot of work to do. Got to clean up these mistakes if they're going to be real contenders, or at least even middle of the pack Big 12 and get into the tournament. The potential's there to do that, but will they? We'll have to see. And you have Fardaz Amek, coming back in the next couple of weeks or whatever it is, or weeks to a month, and see what kind of factor he is down the stretch for Texas Tech. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.